Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to our next data science seminar. And today we are addressing an interesting topic, which is about how data analysis and also artificial intelligence, how they can influence usability and user experience of the products. So what methods can be used for that purpose? And as a kind of background, we all know that some digital products are not intuitive enough and are hard to use. And I think that every one of us actually come across such systems in daily life. Even we at the university, we do as well. On the other hand, I've always been convinced that technology should not dictate the ways we think and behave, but the technology should rather support our ways of acting, ways of thinking, and this should be considered when designing the technology. So in this seminar, we are exploring how to design human-centric solutions from two perspectives. And I will present these perspectives as questions here. First, how data analysis helps us to understand how humans think and behave. So how can we get a better, obtain a better understanding of how humans are and how they think and behave, so that we could actually consider this when designing digital products in general, but our focus is on digital products. And the second aspect is how data analysis can help to improve the prototyped or already existing products. So how could we actually build our systems in such a way that they would, for example, generate logs that can be analyzed and that information can be used for improving the products. So there are two perspectives: understanding humans, and the second aspect is to analyze feedback. And today we have four presenters from industry and one presenter from academia who is going to tackle all these issues and who will try to answer the questions I just explained from one or another perspective. And they are going to examine from how the gathering and analysis of data and also artificial intelligence can help to create a more positive user experience. So this is how I would summarize it. So we all want more positive user experience, and these methods actually are aimed at exactly at that. So I will I will introduce the first speaker. I will just reflect on my today's experience. I was one of the people who was asked actually to be involved in improving the new studies. Actually, it's not the new, but the studies information system we have here. It's OIS Cox, as you know, OIS 2. And I went through a 1-hour session where I had to perform different activities, and the session was recorded. And the results will be used to improve the system, so that it would better to improve the studies information system, so that it would better actually meet the needs of professors and lecturers in this case, especially from the perspective of a program manager. So that was the perspective that was in focus. And that was also kind of data analysis, or that will be data analysis, because the data was recorded, what I did, what was my thinking there, where I was confused, what actually was easy, what was intuitive, what was not so intuitive. So it's just an example, but in more complicated cases, of course, there is a lot more data. Okay, but without further delay, now I would like to introduce our first speaker. So, and our first speaker is Agne Kinks, who is a director of product intelligence and at Pipedrive. And Agne will tell about the Pipedrive experience, how they have been able to utilize data in improving their products. So, please. The floor is yours.
Aitäh. Hello. As it was said, my name is Agne. I'll go to the slide. Basically, I know that I have 15 minutes, and I try to be on time. Maybe if you don't have so much time for the questions at the moment, then I will be there. I will be at the panel session, so you have all the opportunity to ask. So, okay. So I'll not spend too much time on the intro, but I really want to point out that the team I'm leading at Pipedrive, it's called Product Intelligence. It's quite a fancy name, but what it means is actually we have a combined team of product analysts and product researchers, meaning the qualitative side of the research and the quantitative side of the business. So, and this is a new team. I started actually as a researcher, more from the qualitative side. And I've always believed in this kind of what and the why have to be combined. And that's why, we did that decision a year ago, and now we have been on this road for a year. And, that's why I want to share now a bit about, how do we actually build products in Pipedrive. My past is all in research. I worked for Kantar Group. I think most Estonians know it by the name of Emor. So, fully in research. That's the reason why we did it in Pipedrive, that we joined the product data analysts and researchers, because I think it takes the power of two to really get good insights. And our team is exactly for the reason, like we provide insights for our stakeholders in Pipedrive, whether it's product managers, designers, you name it, and that's why we have to know well the customer, we have to know well the product, and we have to know the market. So the best we know about those three, the best insights we can give them. Pipedrive story, only one slide. Hopefully most of you know about it. It was a sales software we are building. So it's started in 2010 already, and now we have been on this journey almost for 15 years. And exactly how big products are born. They are born from a big problem, or let's say a very, a big and painful problem. And that's exactly what happened to Pipedrive. And one fact, because that has a lot to do with data, we have loads of data in Pipedrive. If you have one, let's say 100,000 customers, by customer I mean a company, which means actually every company can, there could be many users, so it means almost 500,000 users. You can imagine how many clicks those users do in our software, so we have loads of data available. And also from the research side, it's pretty easy for us to contact them. They're mainly small business owners and salespeople from those companies. So let's say I know that for today, our team talked to 12 customers already, so that's constant interviews we do to the customers, and they're very easy to schedule because we have loads of them, and they are from basically Nicaragua to New Zealand, so it's like we don't have specific markets in mind. We have target markets, but basically the product is available across the globe. So now I'm taking you to this journey. So Pipedrive only wins when our customers win. That's why our mission is to help those 100,000 small businesses to close more deals. And to close more deals for a salespeople is like you have a lead, you negotiate, and you sell your product, and then the deal is closed. And that's exactly what we are here to help them to do. And that's why it's very easy. Everybody in the company knows that the purpose is to help those small businesses to grow by helping them to generate revenue. And I have marked as small, meaning like we're not helping all the enterprises out there, but we're helping only the small segment, which is usually 11 to 100 employees. So this not maybe startup fully, but already, who has good enough revenue already and is already, let's say, a bit scaling upwards. And how do we help them to do that? So the win deals one is our North Star metrics. And how to, we even call it customer benefit metrics. We have a lot of metrics we use in Pipedrive, but this is the most customer-centric metrics because, as I said, it really relates to their business success. And how do we do that? To win more deals, first of all, you have to have deals in the first place to start winning. That's why you need prospects, you need these leads in the first place. The bigger the deal, the bigger the money. In that sense, of course, there is not much we can do. Let's say if you're selling pencils, then pencil can't cost $1 million, but then maybe you sell more pencils in that sense. Higher conversion, we help them with the tool to go from this lead stage to this closing stage, making sure that they do it efficiently and doing all this process in a less time. So we're speeding up, and then nowadays AI can help a lot in that field especially. So it's a productivity efficiency when closing deals. So this is a typical sales process of our salespeople, very high level. I can go deep there. Every bucket there could, have sub-layers, but basically you have a lead or prospect identified, you qualify the lead, you create the deal, you negotiate, send the proposal back and forth, you discuss over price. At one moment, the deal is closed and you're happy, basically. And we, in Pipedrive, every decision we make in the product has to improve this process for the salespeople. Whatever angle we tackle it, that's why we have teams formed around the different phases of that, but we ideally want to improve the efficiency of this process. But there are two key things we really follow. One is that the problem validation is paramount. This is where everything starts. That's why the UX part of my team is the value of UX is not wasting time and money developing the wrong solutions. So that's why we put a big effort in this kind of first moment. And the second one we really try to follow is always balance this qualitative versus quantitative insights. Of course, you don't, if a number says 90% of something, then you don't need to go there and zoom into with interviews. That's enough, but very often it's not the case. So that's why you always need this what and the why, and we try to combine it as well as possible. And this is in a nutshell how the process starts. We try to choose a big problem, a painful problem. The problem has to be also something that Pipedrive can, solve well. If somebody's saying I don't have a good product market fit, then, I can't really help the company with Pipedrive in that sense. That's a different problem they have. And then, everything we do, there has to be customer benefit and impact, but also business impact, meaning for Pipedrive. So winning more deals, as I said, it helps the customer, but also it's money in our pocket. And then we start iterating. This is basically the loop. You customer problem defined, then you prototype, and then you experiment. And that cycle can go over and over again. So it could be take 10 times until you maybe find something meaningful, and only then you are allowed to this delivery phase. Today I'll cover only the discovery loop. The delivery loop is more like a different animal, and I'm not focusing on that one. And if you look at the funnel again, not the sales funnel, but this is now our working funnel. Discover the problem, validate it, frame the opportunity, prototype, and experiment. Then build this minimal viable product, or we call it actually nowadays more like the second phase of it is minimal lovable product, and scale. And then if we do it perfectly, and there are a lot of data in each of those buckets which we utilize. So starting from the problem, you can't solve what you can't define. So how in Pipedrive the teams are aligned? If we pick a problem, how we align is let's say salesperson Anna from a small company said I'm not sure which deals to focus on. She comes in the morning, opens up Pipedrive, there is a lot of prospects, lot of deals. Which one should I pick to work on today, basically? So that's the discovering the problem phase. And to be aligned with the whole team, we use a lot of playbooks in Pipedrive, but this is one of them, is we really define the customer problem statement. It's very easy. I, as a user persona, let's say Anna, I'm trying to figure out which leads should I focus on, but what's the reason, what's getting in the way, but let's say my pipeline is, I can't focus because there is too much of my stuff in front of me. So, and that's the root cause that, pipeline is scattered. And that makes Anna feel, anxious, maybe afraid that she will not meet the, let's say, targets at the end of the month. You can imagine what can happen to a salesperson in that phase. And we always go this other side, what is the ideal state, where we want to land with this problem. In a perfect world, Anna comes in the morning, opens a pipeline, maybe there is an AI scoring, whatever, blinking AI saying, by the way, based on the past interactions you have done, today take those 5 deals, send emails to them, then take those 5 things. So, we can help Anna in that way. So, and then if we solve it good, well, Anna feels, relieved. She knows she's on top of the game. She knows that, she can deliver by the end of the month. And we always frame those statements. Even if a small, tiny problem, we always go this exercise. It's quite easy. And then sometimes teams do it individually. Then we combine them. And then only we're allowed to go to the next phase. So validate. So now, more data comes in. First of all, this problem, if I read it for you, it still has okay, why is it happening? Does he have too many things? Not what's causing that one? That's where when we come with the UX side of the game, the exploratory interviews, we don't only do it with salespeople, but I would actually like to talk to Anna's manager also, who is a sales manager in that company, for example. So we run interviews 5 to 10 just for the first phase, and the analysts from the second, the second part of my team come to play, behavioral analytics basically. Looking at Anna's, where she's working, how many deals she even have. I don't expect, let's say, a company who's selling, I don't know, building hotels, has tons of deals in the pipeline, They, the product costs or the service they offer maybe costs millions of dollars. They probably have a couple of things only which they handle. So they probably don't have this problem of a lot of deals rotting in the pipeline. But Anna definitely maybe is selling something which is more fast-moving, sales cycle maybe, I don't know, six months, 1 year. So we can in data detect how many of those Anna type of customers we even have with that kind of problem, and then zoom in with data. And of course, we always have to match it against the blueprint, which is the ideal customer profile, because also, as I said, in Pipedrive, we're not serving all the companies out there. We have very narrowed down whom we serve, not only by employee size, but which industries, our key target customer. Is Anna the key one? Maybe Anna is just from this random corner, and we never should build anything for that type of a segment. But if she fits the ICP, we are ready to go. So this is the problem validation phase. Now, it goes to the idea phase. That's what I love the most. I know it's now designers come to play a big role here. So the best way to get a good idea is to get lots of ideas and throw the bad ones away. So now we are coming to the solution phase a bit, thinking of, testing it out. Then the teams come together. We are calling it accelerators in Pipedrive. Teams run them individually, but we have some, company-wide accelerators. So that's a usually 3-day, 5-day event, during which every day they talk to at least 6 customers every day, and they validate the problem from Monday to Friday. And by Friday, they should actually land with something tangible that we can already start experimenting with and validating. So if this phase is true, let's say, as I already pointed, maybe an AI scoring could come out from that accelerator, and Anna could have a nice, I don't know, blinking button somewhere in the pipeline, click me, I'll help you prioritize your leads, for example. But before that, we need to validate the LOFAS. So what is the leap of faith assumptions? Those are the things that have to be true, critically important in order for your solution to succeed. It could be that, what could be the LOFAS for Anna? Maybe she doesn't trust AI, So if she doesn't trust AI, she would never use our feature. Maybe the things that AI will produce, the suggestions, are so wrong that, she will say, I'm not using them. I just go with my own way. And there could be any others. So we define, as many as there are, but we test the riskiest ones. So how do we test them? So this is just one small list of things which we have used mainly, but the experimentation can go through. Let's say fake door experiment. What it does is we don't have this AI scoring yet, but we have a blinking button. And when Anna notices it one morning, she clicks there, and maybe we tell what do you expect it to find here? Maybe we have a name for that feature already slightly there, I don't know, scoring, and then we get more information, and we test how many Annas actually click on that button, and we get already data. Is it even meaningful to test it? It could be Wizard of Oz. We can fake, the feature, and then again test it in data-wise, not just, speaking to the customer, and so on and so forth. And the last one I want to point is the commitment is already, as I said, the business impact is also relevant from day one. And that's why we always say, are you ready to pay for that? Because we're not just launching features for the sake of, having fun in Pipedrive, but, we probably want to put this feature in the future in some of the plans and charge for that. And, is it good enough that customers would pay for it? There are tons of ways how to test that one. You could, for example, say, sign up, for this feature to be available in beta, and by the way, we'll say that actually will cost you $10 per month or something like that. And then again, we can see how many people click on that one. So I'm checking time. Okay, good. So now experimental phase. Jeff Bezos has put it very nicely. Our success at Amazon is a function of how many experiments we do per day, per month, per week. So that's exactly what we try to do at our best in Pipedrive. And I know if you look at this first loop I showed you, the discovery loop, you can fail many, many times. And it sometimes frustrates the teams. You try, and again, you find out that it was not the right problem. It was not the right, thing we tackled. That's why we try to call it pre-success, because you have found 1,000, let's say 100,000 times what doesn't really work. So it's looking at the other side of the coin, basically. And that's why we give motivation to the teams that, now you know that this wouldn't work, so let's not try it next time. So eliminating the things. So now we are finally in this last stage. So are we ready to build? Yes, we are. So we know the problem is real. We know the customers are interested. We have seen some early adopters already giving signs of excitement. We know that customers actually are ready to pay for it. And we know also what needs to be improved, what are the pitfalls, basically. It's time to move from wizard to real. So bring the solution live to its simplest form and iterate. Simplest form, this one I referred meaningful, viable product or meaningful, lovable product. And now the plan, every plan survives first contact with the customers. Like no plan survives first contact with the customers, meaning now it's the truth moment. We put the stuff in the actual product and we start measuring, like rolling it out to more users, maybe 200, 200, 500, starting A/B tests as we do it, following up with business metrics. If Anna clicks now on this blinking button, will she start winning more deals as a result of that? That's the key thing, She could blink there, but nothing happens. Is there business outcome actually after that? And luckily, as we have big support, customer success and sales teams, they are getting phone calls from, not phone calls nowadays, chats from customers, and we can already utilize that information, Oh my God, there's a customer asking about these new features. He was so amazed about that, or like, this didn't work at all. So we start getting this feedback already on top of everything we do in interview phases. So conclusion, start with real problems, mix qual and quant, test assumptions as early as possible, and let data and feedback guide you. And then the best products will be born. So that's why in Pipedrive we try to stick to that. We don't launch a random feature hoping it will drive more revenue. Instead, we're incredibly focused on what our customers require to grow and succeed. And when we add a new feature, we know the fact that it's making the customers' lives better. So we don't waste this engineering money starting building and coding, but we waste time, let's say, put time in this first cycle more, and then we can do the second cycle much faster. So that's it. That's, in my mind, is a customer-centric innovation. So thank you.
We have 5 minutes for questions. So any questions? Yeah, Jaak.
Yes, thank you very much. It's on, right? Yeah. A nice, very fast talk. I actually had only one small question in this problem definitions on the very early phases. There was on the problem statement and this
ideal state.
Yeah, ideal space. There was the last line about emotional state. So what do you need that for? Is that then from the same person come several inquiries that only those are high prioritized that have a big change in emotion from?
Okay,
So I wasn't sure what is that needed for? Why do you ask?
Yeah, it's probably not so much like helps us to build, but if the team, imagine if the team is together for a week and they try to get in the shoes of the customer, thinking about the emotions, the feelings. Salespeople are actually quite stressed people, and and when you have your quotas to make, then understanding the persona also is very important. That's why maybe the emotions, how they feel when something doesn't work, and how they feel when they win, I don't know, $1 million deal. I think it's for every PM designer, it should be something they feel every day, like the pain of this our customer, or the person they're serving. So maybe that one is that. Probably it will not help us to build, but it drives the emotion. I think it's important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agne. I have a question. So, selling books, like some of your founders have done in the past, selling construction of hotels, selling teams of software developers to the other people. It's my question is, how similar or different is the sales process? How many branches of your software you have? Because you kind of described one process for every salesperson, that you deliver these different features. But when the businesses are so different, don't they require different branches of your software? How do you deal with this complexity in there?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when they started, it was basically one common, I might say Pipedrive is quite customizable, that you can, tailor make it for your own process. But up to now, I know that some of our competitors have out there, this is like, for real estate, or this is for like, exactly as you said, manufacturers. So we target the segments, but there is no real branching in there. We are just telling, like, you can add as many custom fields, based on your need. You can put the pipeline is 20 stages, only 3 stages. So you can play with the software, and we give guidance like, okay, real estate. We sometimes, when you land to Pipedrive in the first day, you are from real estate. By the way, other, 100 real estate companies have used this type of pipeline, those custom fields. Maybe you want to like not copy them, but use some of their guidance. But overall, the product is available for everybody, and it's just fine-tuning. But as I mentioned, the ICP, the ideal customer profile, there we have exactly said, we are not for those customers whose sales cycle is, let's say, 3 years building those hotels. We have hotel builders there, but it's up to them, but we're not building any feature for them. So that's why we have said sales cycle, let's say from 6 months to 1 year, mainly like 4 industries which are in focus, the size of the like the employee size of the company, and some other things which we have defined together that there we have the product market fit. That's the term I would use, yeah. And we build for that small segment, but if somebody comes and says, I want to use, we're not saying, oh, you're not allowed. So, but if they can make the product work for them, good.
Okay, thank you. So now we have to go on. So there will be opportunities for discussions, for questions during the coffee break, and also we have a little like celebration kind of event right after our seminar. But now we have to go on. So many thanks.
Thank you.
For interesting
Thank
presentation.
You.
So, and now we are going to, for a brief while, to academia. As I said, most of our presenters are from industry, but fortunately we have one also from academia. It's Associate Professor Grace Eden, who is an Associate Professor in Interaction Design. And she will, according to my understanding, then she will explain that problem, or open this today's problem more from the perspectives how humans think, and how we could represent that by data and analyze that data. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah? Everything okay? You can hear me well? Thanks for having me. So, how many of you think you could conduct your life without a digital footprint, without doing things online? Do you think it's possible? Maybe, maybe not. So, today I want to talk about the social and ethical implications of collecting large amounts of data on our activities. And I'll briefly describe to you and introduce a domain of research called data justice, which is an important concept in our current data-driven world. So data justice is an interdisciplinary field of study. Academic disciplines that focus on this type of research are sociology, media studies, human-computer interaction, and other disciplines. The aim is to investigate the social and ethical implications of how personal data is collected, used, shared, and governed. It focuses on understanding data practices related to concepts that you may have heard about. Fairness, am I being treated fairly if an algorithm is making a decision about me or you? Accountability, who's accountable for the decisions that these systems make and how the data is stored? Transparency, can I and you understand what data is being collected and whether or not we can opt out? Other topics include power imbalances between individuals and institutions, social inequality, and human rights in relation to data use. So if we think about these concepts, they are being operationalized into laws and policies. And the best example for this talk is the EU GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation. So it's a data security and privacy law that was established by the EU in 2018. Its purpose is to give individual users, me and you, greater control over our personal data through a regulatory framework that requires businesses to comply with specific requirements. So we now have requirements, ethical requirements that need to be considered when we're designing these systems. And some of these are in this slide here. I encourage you to look at the GDPR website to look at these in detail. So we do have certain rights in GDPR, under GDPR, and these rights are, we have a right to access our information, we have a right to correct inaccuracies in information, we have a right to have our data removed, to be forgotten. We also have a right to restrict the processing of our data. We have a right to remove our data from one platform and move it to another of a different choice. And we can object to processing data. All that means is that we have a right to disagree. I don't think that's much of a right. That's kind of a basic right, but we have a right to object. Even though we have these rights, it is very difficult to exercise these rights in actual practice. So it can be extremely time-consuming. We may not understand the terms and conditions. We may find it difficult to contact someone at the company. Also, there's a trade-off. If we as a user decide to restrict the company's access to our data, we might lose features and functionality, right? So there's a trade-off that we have to consider. I think that these challenges to exercising our data rights is a topic that really considers more research, that needs more research so we can meet these challenges. So if we think about data more broadly, who is interested in this data? There are different actors that collect and analyze data for different purposes. So corporations that we all know, Instagram, Facebook, Google, our friends here, collect data for themselves to maybe, I'm not saying you guys do, but the other companies I mentioned, to monetize and to trade with data brokerage firms. Governments are interested in engaging with citizens through online services and digital IDs and passports. Hackers want our data because they want our credit card information, or they want to reveal personal information for malicious intent and monetary gain. Basically, they want to hack into our systems to take our money. Terrorists are interested in data because they use a new type of data currency called Bitcoin and other coins to conduct money laundering activities. And journalists and activists also want data, but they want data so they can release it to the general public for the common good. So they usually report on government oversight, overreach of powers, such as the Snowden leaks, which I'll talk about in a slide, and also corruption, like the Panama Papers, which revealed the financial information of wealthy, super wealthy individuals across the globe. So all of this data that these actors are interested in are stored in platforms, services, apps, databases, and hardware devices. So what do companies and governments need to datafy? What do they need? They need your data. So think about all of your online activities, every click, every search term, every post you leave is collecting a digital trace about you that can be transformed into data points. What is data? It's a collection of facts, figures, values, observations, measurements. They can be numerical, text-based, audio, visual, or any combination of these. When they're aggregated into large data sets, they are quantified for the purposes of statistical analysis. Some scholars refer to this process as surveillance capitalism, which is the phenomenon of taking qualitative human experience, such as our opinions, our likes, our dislikes, our travel interests, taking all of our human experience and thinking of it as a raw material. I'm sure you've all heard data is the new oil. Right, it's a raw material. It's a new raw material that can be monetized and traded in capital markets. Datafication is the transformation of aspects of human life, behavior, and social interaction into data that's collected, stored, and analyzed, and used to influence us and to make decisions about us. However, it is not restricted only to online services. It also extends to sensors in our environment and other recognition technologies such as smart meters in the home, electronic that measure your electricity and send it off to the company, CCTV cameras on the streets and roads, and even on our bodies. Many people wear smart watches to count their steps, check their heart rate. All of this data is being analyzed and stored. So these practices of datafication have become a new paradigm for understanding social behavior and a new way for interpreting the world around us. This is a huge shift in the way that we structure social life, right? Since the 80s. This is a huge transformation in the way transactions and negotiations unfold, where qualitative human experience, what we think, what we feel, what we like, what our opinions are, our search terms, all of that is being quantified to influence us and to predict our next actions. So we have to consider the power imbalances, and that's what this field of data justice does. And that's what the GDPR does, that's what the EU AI Act does. It considers these imbalances between the individual and institutions and tries to solve or analyze these imbalances and investigate what these the impacts and implications of these are to our lives. So there are three ways that this data can be used. Let's talk about governments and companies, not terrorists and hackers, although that would be a different talk. So to understand or to use data based upon past behavior, your website clicks, your purchase history, your social media interactions are gathered. Preference mapping maps your interests based upon products you buy and content you consume. So what YouTube channels are you subscribed to? Or what YouTube channel, even if you don't sign in, your IP address is associated with your computer. There's also a browser digital footprint. What are you watching on YouTube? What are you scrolling through on Instagram? Loyalty cards are used for journey analysis to understand your buying habits. What do you buy in the summer compared to in the winter? Do you have people coming over? Are you buying lots of food? Are you on holiday? There's no use of your loyalty card. Electronic payment systems often sell our transactional details to data brokers. So even if you're using a card on a holiday, that data can be brokered to and sold on the open market. So where you're going on holiday, what you're purchasing, where you're eating. Second, it can be used to influence current behavior through recommendations and offers on e-commerce sites or in your news and social media feed when you're scrolling. It can nudge people to take specific actions through notifications and other design elements. Another real-time effect is pricing on demand. So for instance, if it's rainy and cold, a Bolt taxi might cost a little more than if it's sunny and warm. Also, the dynamic pricing is influenced by your location. So you might get different offers if you're in Tartu or Tallinn or Berlin, different offers and different prices based upon your location. Third, in predicting future actions, it uses machine learning algorithms to predict what you might do based upon historical data. It also can be used for risk assessment in finance and security domains. So are you a loan risk? Is there perhaps fraudulent activity on your credit card? How many of you, I'm sure all of you, have been, or maybe not, have been called by your credit card company if you make a super large purchase, like an airline ticket or something? Did you make that purchase? Yeah, it was me. Another is based on insurance risks. So young people may get a higher quote for car insurance than, let's say, someone my age. And also, depending on where you live, some neighborhoods are considered more dangerous or more sketchy, and your insurance rates will go up. So all of this information is stored, analyzed, and aggregated through purchase history, through, your postcode or your zip code, what you're doing on your smart device, and in social media. So that's the surveillance capitalism side, yeah? If we look at what governments have done and still are doing, in 2013, Edward Snowden revealed a mass digital surveillance program, and he specifically leaked documents. He worked at the NSA, and he leaked documents from the US and the UK. So these are the only two countries we have information on at the moment. But these programs, even though they were exposed, they were not terminated. So they're still active today. And there are three types of infrastructure that are exploited in these programs. One is the material infrastructure, so actually going into the physical cables, the internet cables that go, from here to Finland, tapping into those cables and gathering the raw data there. The other infrastructure is the service infrastructure. These are the web services we all use, Gmail, Instagram, etc. And then there's another layer called the standards infrastructure. And this layer facilitates the global interoperability between hardware and software that connects all of us worldwide on this thing called the internet. And in this case, vulnerabilities on that internet backbone are exploited and backdoors are engineered. So if we look at some of these, I don't know if there's the counter. Oh yeah, I can't go through all of these in detail, but I'm happy to talk to you guys about this afterwards. Let me skip over these programs, but these are some of the programs that have been revealed. So capturing your webcam data, looking at your traveling habits, collecting, and this is everyone in the world, collecting everybody's metadata, contact data and metadata from all of your online activities. So, and the Ant catalog, which is placing hardware and software into actual devices that can then be purchased by targets. However, so you might say, what's wrong with this? The reason why Edward Snowden leaked this information was because of the approach taken, which was collect it all. So basically everyone in the world, everyone's data is being swept up, and it's considered an extreme data gathering approach that's disproportional. So rather than targeting specific criminals, specific terrorists, we're all in this massive database, and it can be abused. We have a loss of privacy. It could be used to profile individuals in the future. And it could and does have a chilling effect on people's behavior online. And finally, it undermines our trust in government institutions. And we can say it undermines our trust in, web services. We've seen the people who have leaked the Facebook issues and other issues in other Silicon Valley companies. So all this said, there is an argument, which is the nothing to hide argument, which is a widely held belief that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear from surveillance and data collection. However, the counter argument is that it's not about hiding, privacy is not about hiding wrongdoing. It's about protecting our rights in a free and democratic society. And this quote, which I don't have time to read, but is a really good one, Shall I read it? I don't have time. So there are ethical and social implications that we really do need to consider. Let me quickly go through these now. We've already talked about privacy and surveillance, shifts in power dynamics. This is an entirely new social paradigm where we can't survive without using the internet. However, all of our data is being collected in ways we do not know. It reinforces or can reinforce social inequality through biased algorithms, and it has impacts on democracy, such as, on the one hand, it facilitates civic engagement, but on the other, it can be used to manipulate and surveil. So there's lots of, this is a rich area for, contemplation and research. If we think about the current situation, right now we're in a surveillance capitalist model. Our data is oil, it's being monetized, and I've only got one more slide. It's being monetized. So what would happen if we move from a surveillance capitalist model to a social credit system? So these two diagrams here from a Wall Street Journal article that describes the Chinese social credit system. And it's a broad mechanism of control where citizens are monitored, rated, and judged. If you've not seen the Black Mirror episode called Nosedive, I recommend you watch it because it demonstrates what this could do in a speculative, it's a speculative film about the potential risks of such a system. So it tracks financial records and bank details, legal records, online activities such as social media posts and shopping habits, and government service interactions. For good behavior, people are fast-tracked on visas and permits. For better jobs at school, in schools. For low scores, people have travel restrictions, so they can't take trains, they can't take international flights, they have limited service to government services, and they have slower internet. So this is already happening in China, right? This huge digital surveillance system is already happening. We have this capability now, and the question is it how easy or difficult is it to take the next step? Thankfully, the EU has and is worried about this situation, and they've implemented GDPR, and they've implemented the EU AI Act. So we've talked about these challenges around data justice and around responsible data use. Let's finish with some recommendations quickly. And again, I'm happy to talk to you afterwards. So for industry, collect data that's only necessary. There's a bunch of others here. I'll just do one for each. For individuals, we need to educate ourselves about what data is being collected. We need to be aware about what we're doing online and offline. We need to enhance our digital literacy. We need to exercise our rights, something that, as I explained, is kind of difficult to do right now. But we can also advocate, so get involved in your local government initiatives or national initiatives. For policymakers, we can implement and enforce strong data protection laws, and importantly, foster dialogue with the general public about ethical issues. And finally, invest in research to develop best practices and ethical frameworks that address these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. So I know there are several questions. I have one too, but unfortunately we don't have time now for questions. But as Grace already said that she will be around during the coffee break and later on after the event. So feel free to approach her and ask your questions. But now we have to go on with our next presenter. So, and our next presenter is from industry again, Hegle Sarapuu-Johanson, who is a Chief Innovation Officer at Trinidad Wiseman. And Hegle is going to tell us how to get from clicks to clarity. So as a very short introduction. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi. Obviously, why I'm here. I founded Trinidad Wiseman a very long time ago, one of the part of the companies, and then we started to speak about, usability matters. It's important. You have to do stuff right way, and you know, usability is not just the designer's sense of design. It's something that you have to research for and so on. So that was something kind of new in Estonia at the time, and software developers were kind of like a bit angry about us because we just started to test. Now you say we have to design as well. So that was crazy times. At some point, I felt like, it's stupid how little we are measuring what people are doing in the software.
because I understood that every click in web, you can make an event of that, and you can measure it, and you can actually calculate really well, is it usable or is it not, and we don't use that. And it kind of came out that, well, designers are not super good with data and programming as well, quite often. So that was kind of ignored. Fast forwarding some time, so basically now we have played around with numbers for 10 years. And this is something that today we use on our customer websites. The challenge, why do we need to measure usability or user behavior, is so that basically all the digital services, they are like so complex today. Because user touch points, they differ. There's no users today for usual service that only uses one touch point. So basically, there are apps, there are websites, there are self-service portals, there are different call services and so on. So all the digital services, or just services, they are like super complex because there are so many touch points already, and obviously there are so many users, and it's really hard to really see. Because before it was like easy. There was one touch point, there's my service table, there was like one person at a time, I could speak with this person, and everything was easy, right? I could help them, could not, but it was super easy. So if this user was super unhappy with me, I saw. Today, digital services, I don't see. I mean, I have to be super clever to see. I have to do additional research, I have to go interview, I have to do observation to actually understand what is going on. And every time someone calls to us in help desk, it seems that this one person is like super stupid. They don't get our service, and it's not like usual stuff. Because most people don't call. They just ignore. They close the website, they go away, and I don't see that quite often. So I have to do extra steps to see that. So this complexity is like bigger than ever with the services. And obviously, if that's not good enough, then we have this real-time changing content. Someone added something to the website, new articles, new kind of information, new kind of actions, and so on and so on. And quite often, usability depends on the content itself quite heavily. I mean, in user interface-wise, designing search is super easy. There's like one box, one outcome with lots of rows, and probably one button as well. So basically, user interface of the search is super easy to design. I'm sure that everybody in first session will learn how to create user interface for search. How many absolutely great searches of the websites you have seen, which actually work for you, so that you can find the content you're looking for? Raise your hand. 0? That was 0, yeah? Nobody has seen like super nice search that actually helped you. Yeah, me either. Because it doesn't really exist. It's almost impossible to user test yourself through the website search you're creating. And if you have like the super big website, corporate website with thousands of articles, it's even more impossible. Because it depends on the content. It depends on the user. It depends on those actions. And most of the companies do not understand how well their search actually works, or does not work anyway. And they have no idea how to change it better. Because there's no way you can think of each and every possibility there. Personalized content, well, it's kind of like starting its journey, and we don't have super personalized websites right now, maybe self-services only, but it gets better. And it even creates more complexity because now it depends on a person as well. And whatever algorithm said that this person is interested about, and so on. And of course, there are like divided teams and tasks in web management in corporate level. So basically, it's quite usual that in different parts of organization, everyone is like working on their content, not like everybody's content. So there's like not one management team usually. So it's divided. So this is why it's challenging. And this is why we have to kind of track and measure, try to find out like what is going on. But the websites, it's quite easy. Basically, everything is trackable. Each and every step you could do in the website is basically trackable. With user interfaces, it's like also like very interesting because we use something we call design patterns. So basically, every time you see search, basically it follows some kind of patterns. So there's like a couple of those. And users are expected to go through them certain way. So basically, if you go through that the correct way, user follows the patterns that the pattern was meant for. And the amazing case is that it also, I mean, like if user does usability errors, they're also patterns because we ask them to do one way and they do another way, and those follow also strict patterns. All those failures are patterned because we created design patterns first. And luckily, it's so much easier to catch problems than to catch success quite often. So we can measure those. We have seen usability tests more than 10 years. We train our people to see that there's usability error. This is how usability error looks like. It's quite easy to actually teach to the machine as well, if you know what to look for. Easy setup. So basically, Tag Manager is something we use. It doesn't matter which platform. It's quite easy to do. You don't have to really build it in. If you're a small company, you can use those tools. And obviously, you have to know what kind of meaningful events you want to catch. Obviously, you can catch everything, but it doesn't really make sense because it's quite a lot of work. Then you create API connections to the visualization tool, usually. There's usually some kind of reason why you want to get this information. But also you have to do calculations so that you have to calculate the pogo stick effect, for example, something like that. So it might look like this. There might be more KPIs for that. It's quite usually percentage of all the sessions that users have done, how many of those faulty sessions we had, and then we want to dig deeper, probably, depending on the calculations. And obviously, if there are percentages, then you really easily can calculate entire usability percentage for this module, for search or forms or what kind of navigation and so on. So this is just one example. So what are those meaningful events and actions we are looking for? So pogo stick effect is going back and forth. It's usually when people are not really sure what is going on, how to look for this content and so on. So they try to go back and forth. It goes for navigation, it goes for a search, the same pattern. And it's quite easy to actually calculate it. Low-value pages, not so many actions, quick pass-throughs, things. There's a page, but it's not so valuable for the user because they don't stay there long. They had empty clicks, so when we're clicking to the elements that are not clickable, nothing happens. So basically, it's like super easy to catch. Code is a bit messy, but you have to, know what the elements are clickable. But yeah, hate clicks, free fast clicks, basically. So if you're like really unhappy with the page, nothing works. What you do? Tick, 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 tick. You can catch that. That's easy. Page refresh. People refresh the page because it seems it doesn't work. Something is not loaded. It doesn't work like you expect. It seems like there's some kind of technical error. Problems can group with content group. For example, our blog is not usable. Our, product pages are not good enough, and so on. Broken links, incoming, internal, doesn't matter. They're always a problem. The first setups we did, we saw that people don't know what kind of broken links there are, because broken links happen like really easily. You just manage to do space in between the line. It broke the link. In statistics, if you click to the link that leads to 404 page or a page not found, in statistics, this link URL is always that person tried to find, but it's not like not found. So basically, you have to know really well how to go through with web statistics so that you can really kind of understand that that link was broken. You have to do some extra steps for that. Content is not visible. Fast scroll over to content means that people don't value the content, and so on. And always possibilities to vote, save, send, share, that says, okay, this is useful. Select. So selecting the text is quite easy to catch. Forums, basically the biggest fail in forums is that people don't send it. They don't submit it, whatever reason there was. So we try to understand, okay, so they're getting validation errors. Validation errors can be really beautiful, nice errors, but they are errors. It's not the reason why you use the form. You don't want to get errors, right? So usually that means form was not really explaining themselves like really well. Failed submits, local or global help, whatever help we are providing. So we're actually adding those help bubbles because then we can catch them. Because if people need help, they don't want to call right away, right? So to try to get help, like clicking those buttons, and we can catch them. Refreshing the page, usually like previously, opting out of complete link on submitting the form. So basically, you start to fill the form, but then, I don't know, you navigate away. And default value change. So basically, if you provide default value for the form and most people change it, so you actually ask them to do more work, basically. So it's not good design. Search, going back and forth, distant search results like third, fourth page for loads, all show that, okay, I didn't find what I was looking for. Zero search results, which is super big problem. When we started to measure, we saw web pages that 40% of the sessions had at least once this zero search results. So why? Why can't it make it like happen, really? And people stop using the search. They go to menus, like footer menus and so on. So basically they give up on search. And redefining search terms many times is basically also activity that people like try to find a way to find like this content that they are looking for, and redefining filters as well if you provide them. We calculate those indicators, and we can denote that, okay, this form, this page, this element is the faulty one, basically. And those languages, those devices, and so on. If you want to go through that more, those sources I have found were really useful, so I will give you with the slides so you can research more. It has lots of more content that I was telling you with all those like different KPIs, but they're worth checking out. Thank you.
We have time for perhaps one question. Yes.
If nobody asks, I will. How has the search changed or being changed now with the Gen AI and RAG, retrieval augmented generation? Because that's going to change search a lot, I think.
Yeah, well, the way people searching is definitely different, and it depends on the sources that you provide, that you can be findable through those generative AI UIs. I'm quite sure, but it's not there yet. I haven't noticed that much, but the search results probably are going to be affected so much more using different, at least machine learning algorithms, maybe not generative AI. I'm looking for, I haven't seen good examples, but I'm quite sure that in nearest future, lots of pages are put together using generative AI content, not just like editor is doing it or content creator is doing it, but it can be done using a user session. So basically, if a user comes to the website, the pattern is recognized, the content is created on spot. I expect that to happen much more in the future. I haven't seen good examples yet. I think search is one of the most rapidly changing thing, has been, and the nearest future as well, I think. How it's going to be exactly, I don't know. Happy to explore.
Okay, thank you. So, and now, thank you once more.
Thank you.
And now we have a coffee break, which is an ideal opportunity for networking and asking the questions you couldn't ask here on the spot. And please, those who haven't, just in case I'm saying that, who hasn't registered yet, then please do so at the desk, which is actually next to the door here. So, and see you in 5:45. Welcome back. So we are soon going on. We have 2 more presentations from industry people. But before that, I would like to use the opportunity for a little ad break. So, and it is related to the topic of today's data science seminar. As you can see up here, so this topic is concerned with a project developing human-centric digital solutions that we are running here at our institute, and the project is funded by the Estonian Research Council. And we are looking for interested industry partners for that project, but also equally well, actually, there's partners in that project could be from public sector or from non-governmental organizations, but importantly, in the context of this seminar, as we have quite a few people from industry, we're looking for industry partners. And very briefly, what we are doing in that project, we are actually have 3 directions in the project. The first is related to teaching programming, teaching informatics. And what we do there is we develop methods for analyzing the studying process, how a student studies how to program, how to code. And we motivate students by offering personalized automated feedback by means of natural language processing, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So this is one direction. So the second direction is we are trying to give feedback to software development and business processes based on the logs or other kinds of traces generated by these processes, so that the business processes could be improved and software development processes could be actually turned more efficient. And third, we are analyzing the compliance of software with requirements for emotionality. Emotional requirements is an important area that I'm dealing with. For example, human values like autonomy, or for example, self-fulfillment. There are many important human values and different human value theories, and it's important that the requirements for systems, software systems, would comply with this. With human values, and also privacy and security that were mentioned today. So if there is interest, then please get in touch with me. Okay, but now we go on with our program, the data science seminar, and our next presenter is Kristel Ots, who is a user experience designer at Illuminare company. And Kristel is going to tell us how data shapes app design. So, and we are looking forward to your presentation, please.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So good to be here. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Kristel, and today I'm going to share a story how we designed an app. But first, I'm going to just quickly introduce myself. I have 10 years experience in design. I have worked in an agency doing conversion optimization and tons of A/B tests. I worked in-house, and today I'm working as a freelance designer. I worked with different companies, but today I'm going to talk about Snap. So what is Snap? Snap is a parking operator. We have an app to park, wash, or charge your electric vehicle. The previous name of the brand was Parking, if somebody remembers. Now I'm going to talk about why we did the rebrand and the redesign for the app. Well, the name of the brand was Parking, and we wanted to go to international markets. Well, a lot of barking dogs if you Google it, so that was an issue. It was funny in Estonia, but not so funny when you go abroad. We changed the platform, so we changed the user interface and user experience as well as the parking app. In the parking app, it was already outdated. So which data did we use? Well, we did a full heuristic analysis, we did user interviews, used accessibility tools, very important customer feedback that was sent to our customer support, and some good old-fashioned intuition. So now I'm going to tell you what exactly did we do to improve the app. So from the user interviews, we discovered that people who parked their cars with the app didn't know that it was actually possible to wash your car or charge your car. And the other way around as well, people who used the app for washing didn't know that it was possible to park their cars with the app as well. So why was that? Well, the icons were placed on the top right corner where you could change the service, but the map is busy. If you're in the city center, you have a lot of pins and names of the locations, so it was quite difficult to even notice it. So we changed the location and moved the service buttons to the drawer where you could easily see them and actually read what you could do. So that change improved the use of the app. Second thing that we did, we made the app more accessible. If you use the Snap app, it's quite crucial that you read the information from the specific parking lot view, because if you're driving, you don't have time to look around in the app. You have to see that maybe you can just park in those 3 spots, dedicated spots for Snap, so you have to see it. But if the contrast is bad, then it's difficult to read. And I have a good eyesight, even I can't read that properly, or it's difficult. So very small change, but just make the contrast better, so it would be more readable and visible to users. What else? We fixed the forgotten parking. We got a lot of feedback from our customer support, who got calls from worried customers that they had forgotten their parking. And if you forget your parking and it's been on for several days, it's going to be expensive. So we needed to change that as well to reduce the load of the customer support and make the customers happier, so they wouldn't forget. So how it was? You could set a reminder, and for example, if you go to a grocery shopping, you say that, okay, I'm going to be there I'm going to be there 30 minutes, but it's going to take you longer. But you set the reminder for 30 minutes. But if you get the reminder and you swipe it off, then it's gone. So we made a very simple fix that you get the reminder in 30 minutes. But if it's gonna take you longer in shopping and you swipe it off, you get another reminder in 30 minutes. And if you swipe that one off as well and don't enter parking, then you get another reminder in 30 minutes. So actually should be quite impossible to forget to enter parking. So, and we saw a drastic change in our customer support workload. So that was definitely a win. Then we did a lot of other views and other journeys in the app, and then it was time to launch it. Of course, if you design the app, you develop the app, and it's time for a launch, then actually the app is not going to be ready. It's ready for launch, but you're going to get feedback, and I'm sure that you haven't done everything right. Well, that happened with us as well. We launched with this detailed view of the parking lot, but what happened is we actually did some hallway tests among our friends and co-workers and so on. What we saw were the dead clicks. Dead clicks. People were tapping the price containers, not the slider that said start parking. So they tapped the containers, and we thought that, okay, like, what? But they do look like buttons. And I didn't see that. Nobody else saw that. And I guess, I guess we didn't test it enough. That can happen as well when you're in a hurry and you just see this one view over and over and over again. But we made a very quick change, easy change, that we just added the price information together with the parking lot name and the address. So the information would be in one container. Very easy fix. And that was a very quick overview of what we did. And if somebody's into app designing, I encourage you to test as much as you can. But if it's an MVP and you want to launch quickly, then it's okay to make mistakes. You can correct them, you can test over and over again, and you can improve the product. Thank you. And if you want to contact me or stay in touch, then feel free. I'm happy to talk about design and stuff.
Oh, thank you. So now we have plenty of time for questions. So please, who would like to start? Yeah, there is one. Was one hand there?
Thank you. You mentioned that you also conducted the heuristic analysis. Can you please explain a bit more, like why, when, and how? Thank you.
Okay. We took the parking app. Very, very simple. We took the parking app. We made screenshots. We just took all of the screenshots, all of the flows, and we went through with the flows, and we basically took notes and discussed what needs to be changed before having the interviews with the customers. So we did the research ourselves as well.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you. This all seems so common sense. So can you can you somehow elaborate on how the professional designer, what else do you use than just a plain common sense?
What do you mean?
The contrast that I can't read, but let's make it clearer. Let's.
How did I know that? Or
No. When we teach students, for example, and these things, in some way, they seem so intuitive, common sense.
yes.
But there must be something deeper behind there. How do you get to that common sense, and do you use then extensively this A/B testing or data, or how?
Or if we're talking about the contrast, the
design decisions like that, and yeah. Somebody next comes and says, "I can make it even better," right?
Of course, they always can. But if we're talking about the contrast example, well, one thing is that, okay, it's difficult for me to see it, but there are rules as well, so that the website or an app could be accessible. So WCAG rules, where we check if there's enough contrast, for example. And there are tools, so you can just take the color codes and type them in and see if there are some errors. But now, like I use Figma for designing, there are already in that tool the tools to check contrast, for example.
Okay, thank you. So more, yes, there are two questions. One was up there, and then and then you Antti.
How diverse was your the people on which you tested them? Because you mentioned accessibility, like WCAG. Did you pit those different guidelines against each other, or how did you come up with the best ways how to make your applications accessible?
We did use the contrast checker mainly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Here's one more question.
Yes,
Just
please.
kind of Jaak was saying that that it's all seems so simple, and you just use common sense that he could do it, I could do it, anybody could do it. But since you are a professional in this, and I'm not really, what is it that clients or almost clients, what is it that they don't get? Like how are unprofessionals in your mind unprofessional? So what is it that you find it hard to tell to a novice client of yours who's not used to using your services?
Well, I think that in some cases it's difficult to explain why do you need the research, because research needs money. And if you have a small client that doesn't have the money, then you just do what your intuition and your skill set allows to do. So, but if you have a bigger client and they can provide the resources, then it's easier, of course. And sometimes I'm not a wizard, so if I don't have enough data, then I can make mistakes.
Thank you. Kristel, you have your hands up. I'm sure you would like to ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, kind of clarify the previous one, because I was meaning, WCAG gives you this list of requirements, and then it gives you guidances how to achieve them. So I was kind of asking whether you had some people with disabilities, and did you try different guidances against each other to see which ones are better? Like you can solve the same issue with ARIA tag or CSS, so which one works better?
We didn't go that in depth with this. So, because of the resources. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can work with and go in depth as well.
Okay, thank you. And thank you so much for once
Thank
more.
you.
Yeah. And now we're going to our last but not least presentation. Presentation will be given by Elisabeth Raidma, who is the head of user experience team at the company called Bitweb. And Elisabeth is going to tell us how good user experience starts with lying. So, please.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. I'm sorry, Jaak, this presentation is even more common sense, so maybe close your ears or something. But yes, I'm Elisabeth, and I have a stupid problem. My problem is that quite often I don't have enough data to actually design products. I work in Bitweb, so shout out to my company. It's Tartu's software agency, and we produce complex information systems. And the fun fact is that our design team consists of 6 designers, so it's quite huge. And we do these like really complex information systems, design them, so SaaS and stuff. So I have quite a lot of experience that clients order stuff, they want something, but they don't have like give us any mock data or something to use if we produce them. And I think usability relies heavily on data. So if the designers don't have it, and like Hegle said, designers are maybe not good with data, it's because they don't even have the options to like do it. And I chose this easy and specific topic because surprisingly, it goes under the radar a lot. So I wanted to start out with a bold statement that your favorite app has lied to you. But that's the thing, actually, that great user experience starts with lies, because mock data helps teams to test the real ideas before they actually develop something. And mock data has different layers. It can be different things, like, for example, this mock data is fake yet realistic content that makes your product look real even before it's real. And that's how we, as a designers, like this really simple lorem ipsum versus Julia, is how we avoid these big user experience nightmares and actually test the emotional experience as well. So, and if you look at the pictures, you can see which offers you more emotion or would be more practical to actually develop. But mock data isn't just lorem ipsum text and pictures. It's actually a process as well. Most of the software development projects start with personas, which give the team like this emotional feel for whom they're producing their products. So, and another example is like onboarding and demo modes. Like users, like a lot of softwares are quite complicated to use, so these demo mock data things really help to enhance the user experience of products. And it can be as simple as manuals and instructions, like how to set up a Wi-Fi connection, or for example, if you read governmental like stuff, you actually have examples that if Mari Maasikas divorces, I don't know, Andres Maasikas, who gets what money or who is responsible for the children, for actually like these basic Estonians to understand what the government wants you to know. Sorry. But what's actually the point of it? Like using meaningless, simple data leads to overflow issues, clipped text, misleading sizing decisions. So basically, the designer is designing fiction, not reality. So but real names and real context actually expose the problems of the flows really early on. And I think you all might know or are beginning to know it during your career. If you expose problems early, then you save a lot of money and nerves of the team. So you don't mess up the product if you start using raw data really early on. But mock data doesn't just make things look nice. It actually shapes what you're designing. If you're not designing for edge cases and actually using the data, you're just decorating your product or prototype in my experience. And it's really easy to remember. You have to use real use cases, so names like these, I can't even pronounce them, but they're actual edge case names that you have to test your product on. Well, this star keyed with emojis is maybe not the real thing, but maybe your generations are moving there. But it really mock data really turns products into product insights. Okay, and mock data actually shapes what features teams prioritize and how users feel and what products succeed. And here I have another slide where is this beautiful prototype, looks really good, but the client definitely approved it. And the other thing is when a developer actually starts to implement it, what happens? So that's what happens when you don't have real content, you have this fancy, nice content you're using. And now I'm going over some real-world examples from some big companies that actually have money and actually do it well. And these kinds of things have really helped them to drive business value and human-centric approach. So Netflix actually tested stuff with mock data to get users hooked. I think all of you might know that they changed the pictures with gender or what genre you really like to watch. Airbnb mocked host profiles when they started out with their product to create empathy, to make the users really trust the people who are lending their homes. Gmail stress test UX with fake email accounts. Imagine if they would have tested it with lorem ipsum, it wouldn't have worked. So, and Spotify Wrapped is cool, really cool example. Imagine if they would have done it with 120 minutes example only, the product would have flopped. So, but these kind of companies have a lot of money and resources and people to actually test these things out. And another thing is, this is our project, is when you have good mock data, you can actually sell your product really well, really at the beginning of your product stage. If you have only MVP in Figma, you can sell it to investors and they will invest. It's a bit stupid, but if it works, then it's not maybe that stupid. And another example, this is a mock-up from Health Portal. It's not even connected, but it's this imaginary example, example you don't have, you're booking appointment to your doctor and you're designing the systems and you don't have the service names. Or if you have the service names, it's only the gynecologist or imagine how many people want to just search woman's doctor and how it can improve your product. So these small things really affect how good your product is. And it seems easy actually, yes, but a lot of designers and companies and clients skip this part and start having their problems really early on. And I think mock data is how you discover problems really early on, and it's one of the simplest solutions to do it, to save money afterwards. Okay. And here are some tools that, these are just 5. Right now with AI, it's really easy to create anything. Like if you have only few examples, you can already do most of your product. And there's this data framework to remember. I won't get into details. And here's this hook statement that ChatGPT offered me, that by mock data makes honest designers, and the designers aren't just designers, it's the whole team. And by using realistic content early on, we actually make better decisions, we consider the edge cases, and we build for everyone, not just for the averages. So my key takeaway is that I sincerely ask, please use or generate the data or do something when you're producing a product or a project, because it saves up a lot of problems. Simple as that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So again, we have some time for questions. Yes, I saw the first stand there.
So I'm really sorry, but how exactly is mock data tied to data science directly? Because it seems that mock data is more about the design and filling out the placeholders like lorem ipsum into something made up user profiles in order to increase the impressions that MVP makes for presentation or placeholders or stakeholders and early clients. How exactly is data science affects the design itself?
Okay, good question. Take it for example, a healthcare sector. If you don't have this raw health material for this health portal we in Estonia have, the designers are just predicting what do they have or what do they don't have, and the doctor side of it, they don't even might not have the important information somewhere bolded out or in specific place, but you cannot do it just by predicting. So you have to have this a lot of material to really make it human-centric. I don't know if it answered your question, but yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
We are having lots of problems that when we finish the product, then we get feedback that texts are awful. And part of this is, even though the designers use lorem ipsum text, our text is in Estonian, and lorem ipsum is not meant for Estonian. And it is designed for English and Spanish and things like that. It looks very nice. So what is a good lorem ipsum text, or what is the equivalent in Estonian for lorem ipsum?
You shouldn't use lorem ipsum at all. You should use specific content. If somebody is using lorem ipsum, they're just lazy. So that's basically it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I wanted to ask, how do you get good mock data? Do you get it from the client or do you build it on yourself? When I think about the client side, let's say there is someone who wants to build a new web page or a newer web page, then you probably get this old data from them. And this, I would say, might hinder creativity or the possibilities you can build there.
Yeah, good question. Clients don't usually give you data at all. You have to challenge them to give it to you. And data isn't produced overnight. So sometimes as a designer, you just, when you're you have experience, then you just know or predict what is needed or something. But usually, yeah, you have to really push them to figure it out. And it's not this easy linear process you can have. So I don't have a straight answer to you, nevertheless, sorry.
So you get just a follow-up. So you get the data from customers. Maybe,
yeah, if you have resources, yeah.
Yeah, and of course there is a term synthetic data, and basically data can be generated. It's kind of like science of its own already. So, but have you thought about it?
The Depends how complex the like project is. If you're producing a website, you don't really need like this hard material. Depends on the client, of course. But if you're producing like a more complex project, then the more data you have, the better the project will be.
Yeah. So it's easy to come up with the data by
Yeah,
yourselves.
or the solutions. If you don't have data, it's quite hard to like produce solutions.
I would like to thank you, Elisabeth. I really enjoyed your presentation, and by no means there was any criticism also before, because good design probably has to look like something that was effortless, right? But now coming back to this mock data, which you would like to use, the first thought would be, oh, let's take some average examples, right? Average Estonian names, and then you get four-letter short names. But what you really wanted, and what you showed in here, you wanted to have the edge cases. You wanted to test the long names, all the complicated cases. It's not just the most typical average use case. And also for the synthetic data or health data, it's not just show me one example average, but you want to have these extreme cases, like this is really out of normal, or one average, yes, but you want to highlight whether the important thing is there. And that means that the synthetic data probably should not be just average. It should be somehow sampling the extremes that you want to have. And that brings to the question of how to do this, or how to be ready to design synthesized data that covers the edge cases well.
Yeah.
But this is like, I understand it's a manual process for you, not automated synthetic process, or?
Yeah, it's a rather manual process, and a lot of clients don't really see value in it. But I think from design's perspective, if you have the synthetic data, it shouldn't just be all about the edge cases, but rather that if you have the data, you know what functionalities the clients need. It's not only about how long the text is or something. You're actually like improving UX by it. So, yeah.
Extreme cases was a good point, because you really, it's not enough just to think, just to invent some data, but to consider especially some marginal values, for example.
Yeah, but there's always this saying that you cannot like make a product for all the people. There's always edge cases, solve the 80% of the problems.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Sorry?
Yeah. Yeah.
So about the edge cases and like the general response from your MVP, how would you handle like maybe some edge cases or applications that didn't really answer the features or needs of your clients just from your mock data? What if it doesn't really suit or answer? Because artificial data is, well, it's artificial, can't really pinpoint some maybe exact edge cases now. How will it be like fixed or maybe applied in later stages of development after like the mock and MVP stages of like the development of your app or service?
So, good question. That's the thing with agencies. Usually, if they hire a designer, you do the project and it ends, and it's quite hard to get the client to review the stuff again. So that's why I make it like, it's my key takeaway to do it at the beginning, because it saves so much projects like the resources. But afterwards you do it, you just actually redesign the product. Like quite often it doesn't happen, or you don't see the like data only during the development phase. It's quite often that you design the product, then you put the data in, the actual data, for example, application form. Client now knows how many inputs they want to use, so you have to redesign it at the end of the design phase. So it's not linear again. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I have time for one question if there is some. Okay, if not, then we can go on. So thank you once more. Yeah. And thank you all the other presenters as well. And but our program is not finished, because we will now have a panel discussion involving actually all presenters of today, and we will tackle some interesting questions in the discussion. So we will rearrange ourselves. Okay, so thank you all once more for these interesting presentations and insights you gave. And just interesting to, before we start, to draw your attention to the fact that apart from me, all our presenters are ladies, which is a good thing because we here at the Institute of Computer Science, we have a big topic actually, how to get more women to IT. So, and I think you all serve as excellent examples here. Yes, that helps us. Yes. But now, let's go to our panel discussion. And I've prepared a couple of simple questions. I was asked to actually come up with provocative questions. I hope they're provocative enough. But let's start with the first one. And the question is, as the topic of our seminar is Decoding Humans, how to create human-centric solutions. I would like to ask, what is a human-centric solution for you? So how do you see a human, in your own words, your own understanding of a human-centric solution? Yes, and you can use that microphone. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just say one word, empathy.
Empathy, okay.
So basically in the processes, how we do it, we take this user, this moment, the scenario, the goal, their habits, the understanding of the thing, and we design based on that. So basically, more you focus, easier it is to design. So that makes it human-centric. If you don't take into account what user knows already, what they want to achieve, how they used to do stuff today, then this is more like designer-centric design. If you, as a designer, have to think everything, you know, create or innovate everything. So human-centric makes it so that where you are as a human, as a user, yes, we create everything around you, and this is good design. So this is human-centric for me.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a proposition for next time. I think you should expand it to humanity-centered design.
Oh, yes. You can look it up. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, basically,
yes.
I totally agree. I think like the word empathy you mentioned, I would like say customer obsession. In Pipedrive, we have a program called that, and I think understanding the user as, especially have a persona as a salesperson, it's not familiar. Like it's not the person, I don't know, doing shopping every day. It's not everybody has worked in sales, so you need to know what those people struggle with, what they are happy about. So knowing the people you really serve.
Yes, thank you.
I would say that we need to do qualitative research, we need to do ethnographic research to understand people's work practices, to shadow them in their jobs, to understand what sequences of actions they conduct currently, how can we support those sequences, how can we enhance those tasks and activities. So shadowing, interviewing, getting into the field, taking photographs, taking video of the actual work practice is a really excellent way to identify user requirements, which I think is what user-centered is, understanding user requirements.
Okay, thank you. I mean, all the answers were actually very good ones and complimentary, but just I hope you forgive. I would just emphasize that one thing, empathy, once more, which is important because I'm myself dealing with emotional requirements, for example, and these were mentioned by several presenters today. Actually, the emotions. I mean, which emotions are triggered, constructed, and how these emotions could be measured somehow indirectly. So, and about humanity, just one comment. I think it was a good point, and I think it's actually it is broader. And for example, we're also dealing in our research with human values, which is I think goes in that direction. Okay, thank you. Now, so everyone these days, everyone talks about artificial intelligence. And we have mentioned it, you have mentioned it in your presentations and in the questions, this topic has come up. So how do you see the role of artificial intelligence in human-centric solutions, either in solutions themselves or in designing them?
Well, since I have the microphone, I'll start. I think that it's revolutionizing the industry of UX. There's a lot of apps and tools out there now where AI is being used to create personas, being used to create prototypes. So I think it's going to transform the industry, but I don't think it's going to make a UX researcher or designer obsolete. But I think they'll use AI as a tool to enhance their work and to make it more efficient and done quicker. But I'd love to hear what you all think. Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to take our jobs. I think it gives the designers the ability to move from problem solvers to problem owners. So we don't have to do the repeated random processes anymore. AI is doing it, but it's not going to solve humanity-centered problems.
I agree that designers' work will be faster, and we can skip those repetitive tasks. And yeah.
I agree with this. It's a tool, but also I think that it creates quite nice challenges for us for the future. Because, I mean, in broadest context, like if we don't think AI as this big language model we can prompt from, but more like different machine learning models that create decisions to help service providers, other humans to serve us somehow. Then the thing is like this predictive experience in the future for humans, for example, predictive information, they're coming to as a predictive services, and we are not even close to there, so that designers are actually equipped to create this service so that it explains to the user how this decision was made. They consider the emotions of the people that get bad news, for example, about the possibility to get cancer in next 6 months or so. So basically, data gives us so much more information that we have to create those services on top of that. And today, if we use, I don't know, generative AI to generate personas, which is, I think, stupid, to be honest, then we are moving away from creating those nice empathic services, because it's so easy. This tool is so easy. Let's generate stuff. Let's not go to the field, make good research to understand those emotions. Let's just generate them. So I think there's also like, we can do it so wrong as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like at the moment, AI is not there yet, so basically we could use it for efficiency, productivity mainly. So if I think as a researcher, and if I think of my team who run interviews on a daily basis, then there is a bit of scaling moment that we can allow, if we democratize research within Pipedrive, for example, PMs, designers do research on their own. There are tools, AI can, help them to look at the script, find some mistakes, suggest better questions, but and maybe analyze it a bit in a better way. But we currently have done it still in parallel. We used, tools like Condense, and we just, cut video clips and do a manual work still, and then we see the outcome from AI. Sometimes it, is more or less similar, but there are mistakes happening. So, so we are like, some quicker tasks can be like made faster, but I think we're not yet there. So personas, I wouldn't grade with them.
Yeah.
So
yes, thank you. Were there any? So, yeah, okay, good. Thank you. Yes, as I understood, actually, as I interpreted, then you sort of predominantly think that that AI is actually good, for now at least, is good for designing, for doing, makes designing digital products more efficient, and especially from that perspective. But you mentioned humanity as well, and this it came up also some other comments. So that's why I would like to ask about embedding AI in digital products themselves. And so what actually promises and what threats can you see here? If we take a imaginary step forward now.
I can just say, like, we are trying to do it the best way we can currently with Pipedrive features. There are some specifically AI-powered features, but then are like totally AI features, and it is a hard journey. First of all, like, looking at the designers who just can't, test the prototype anymore, like, you need to have the customer data there because the suggestions that the AI will give you depend on the data, let's say, the salesperson has. So, and they can only then tell whether the feature is really good or not. So you can't just, UI can be tested, yes, with mockup still, but, and, embedding this tiny little, baby feature somewhere there and starting testing, it's a big learning curve. So, and seeing, like, we can't even predict, like in the past we could say, let's start code the feature, we know it's out in March, we can plan it. Now engineers are saying 1 month and say, no, we're not there yet, 2 months, basically we're not there yet. So you can't predict currently. The road is much longer and you don't know when this, when the feature is good enough to go out. So that's a challenge, I think.
Okay, thank you.
I would say that the UX challenges are completely different and new. So for instance, we have to design for explainability. We have to design for interfaces that enable humans to understand why a system made a particular decision or choice. Mechanisms where the human can override the decision of the AI. So those things need to be considered. Also, how do we develop systems for AI-human collaboration, working as human-AI teams? So how can we create systems where the human is using the AI as a fellow group member, as a colleague in some kind of task or activity? Those are huge challenges for UX, but I'm sure that we'll solve these eventually and overcome them.
Thank you.
One big challenge is like how long me as a user is going to get all those like faulty decisions and faulty information when we train the algorithms. So because you have to, at some point you have to go live, so you cannot keep it in lab like forever, and it will make mistake, and it depends highly like how you as a service provider, how you react to those mistakes, and like so basically you have to create the design to reaction, like how to apologize to the customer, how to fix stuff, how to understand that it's not like this crazy user has their own mindset, and this is nothing related to our service, and how to distinguish those things, because it comes so easy that, oh, machine said, I cannot do anything about that. So we really have to go like just so much far from this digital product that gives you this like, okay, yeah, this is the decision. So we have to actually design the service around it. Like, is it like easier really quickly say, I'm sorry, we will fix it really fast? Or is it like this, the stupid chatbots that you have to trick through to get to the human, and sometimes you even don't get there. So they are doing mistakes, and then there is no point of like playing that it doesn't. So we have to be clever in designing those services as well around it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important that the AI is being tracked, so you can actually analyze the data that the AI is giving out. As you said, that what if there are mistakes? So, and I think that this part is still in baby steps.
Yeah, I agree. People don't really trust AI. Like, for example, I think SaaS became a hype 10 years ago, and people still use Excel. They have not moved. So if we start doing these AI agents and stuff like that, it takes a lot of time. So hopefully it will improve, and we can start like trusting the AI more. But let's just see if only big corporations are leading it. So.
Okay, thank you. So just one comment about AI agents. Well, there is this new field, agentic AI, and as I've dealt with the agent-based systems in the past, so actually a lot of research has already been done that can be just reutilized. So in the sense there is no need to reinvent the wheel always, but people, I mean, they tend to do that actually, to reinvent the things that are already out there in research. Okay, as this is an interesting topic, so are there any questions from the audience that would relate to this topic, or more generally to our seminar?
I do hate to be asking all the time, but empathy has been mentioned. Money has not been mentioned too much, although most of you work for businesses. Without money, you can't do what you do. And there is implicit assumption that empathy brings in money, right? But empathy in this case seems to be a little bit towards novice users. There are some cases that I did not know how to use it. And this brings me to the question, how do you design for novice users versus professionals? Even now, many use Vim or just command line shortcuts. Stuff like this is totally unempathetic, but extremely powerful, rapid, etc. So how do you approach that and professionalism and bringing money in?
Who would like to answer? Several people can answer. Yeah, Kristel.
So, with design challenges right now, it seems more like empathy is actually costs more to the company than ignore the empathic side of user. If you're first on the market, you don't have fierce competition, then it's easy to ignore it for a while, I think. And I think it's bad and not correct. To the novice users, you actually create different personas to the novice user, to the expert user, and also like mid-level user. So usually, for example, this efficiency in work, let's say like you have like Office, some kind of software. So for expert user, you create all those shortcuts, quick ways of solving things, not so much click and point. For novice user, you have to explain everything, but it takes so much time. And when novice user wants to go through the process, it takes so much more time. And you actually separate workflows, separate even functionalities to explain stuff to the user. You choose different design patterns. For example, wizards, you use them for novice user, you don't use them for expert user. Endless scrolling, nice visuals in sense of designers. You have to have lots of room and so on. Expert users hate those things because it takes so much room, they have to scroll extra and so on. Expert users want to see, okay, I know that this information is like down there in this corner. I always want to see that in this corner because I already know where to look even before the screen changes. The user interfaces have to have both sides. And if we speak about the web, you don't expect anyone to learn how to use the website. So you don't create those trainings to the users, right? But if we speak about big information systems that people spend lots of time, like as a specialist, you do something 50 times per day, you don't want to wait. You don't want to have those extra scrolling. And this is really different, and you have to have context scenarios for that. You have to have personas for that, and you use this process to actually get to the balanced good design in that sense.
Okay. Anyone else would like to respond to that?
Just a quick one, yeah. Now I could digest it. Basically, yeah, like if I think Pipedrive case, then as somebody said, we have people coming from spreadsheets and Excel, and some come from pen and paper, and then we have customers who come from other CRM. So you can imagine how different audiences those are. And that's why we currently, with the onboarding flow, which is up to 90 days, we really tailor this kind of journeys separately for them. But again, it's not only based on where you come from. Sometimes people say, I just want to explore on my own. Like, don't guide me. Like they click, close all the, journeys for them. So it's a tricky part. So we're trying to learn, what is the best way to channel them. And what comes to money, then it's exactly, let's say, there is like some features which are like filters, for example, in Pipedrive, very complex thing, experts love them, the best feature we have, and the newcomers are saying just don't make sense of it at all. And then how we do it is sometimes now they're coming to the money, is we package it somehow differently in the plans. So like Essential gets something simpler, and then the Pro plan already gets a more mature feature. So like if you come, you already say, okay, I'm coming from a CRM, I expect there to be complex filters. This is in that plan, that's how we make money. So. So, okay. Yeah.
So it's all considered.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No empathy. When I talk about empathy, it's more about the designers and PMs understanding the customer, but not so much like how we treat them in the product, but more about, I know that you are a CRM user in the past, I know you'll expect this and that, so I know that you are in this industry, so probably, those things would be suitable for you, something like that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Yes, there is one question.
I have a bit controversial idea that I would like to get the panel's opinion on. So is it too late for human-centric design? The thing is, we know that people are using more and more AI and asking the AI for information, asking AI to do things in the apps. Even EU is asking, or actually requiring us from public sector, so is requiring public sector to allow more and more interactions with the state to be accomplishable through AI. So shouldn't we focus more on the on AI-centric design?
Okay. Who would like to?
Yeah, there's HCI, human-computer interaction, has a subfield called human-AI interaction, and it's working on those questions. So how can we develop interfaces to support decision-making, to work with an AI agent as a fellow teammate. So all of that is being done. But, we need an interface as humans. We need some kind of interface to engage with the system, even if it's an AI system. And in that case, we're gonna need to, just tackle these problems differently. What kind of interfaces do we create when we're collaborating with a non-human intelligence on a specific task or activity.
So it's not too late, as was the
People are
question.
doing it now.
Yeah.
People are working on it now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would basically say the same. If you're using a chatbot and let's just imagine all the answers, what you get there are true or it's correct, then it's actually a lot easier maybe to do your job in like in a software. So I wouldn't call it AI-centered because chatbot was invented before, but it's really changing how user experience designers are designing the user interfaces too. So I think it's gonna change a lot in the few years, or at least I'm hoping.
I can
Yes. Thank you.
only add from what I know from CRM world, there are like pop-ups like CRMs that started AI first, so they didn't have all these custom fields and all these kind of fields to fill in, basically prompt and do your stuff. And what I have been testing some of them, the smaller ones on the market, and what people say what they miss is like, okay, I do this, but I want to see stuff, where it lands, where it's placing. So I think it's a combination currently, but maybe the future is fully there. But currently, I think we have a good edge case, meaning that we have data, we have the fields. If we apply the AI on top, we can still be somewhere in the middle ground, and because people still want to see this stuff.
Yes. Okay, thank you. No more comments? Yeah. Okay, we have come to the end of our panel and of our event, unless there are any urgent questions. If there is, yes.
Yes, so I have a question more for the business about the resources. So during the first presentation, Agne mentioned that Pipedrive had a lot of data to analyze and to make a decision based on, but we all know that business has resources and we cannot have the infinite amount of data and store all of it for like infinite amount of time. So if to talk about the smaller businesses, smaller companies, what would you propose for them to store and in general to have and to track, to make a decision based on that? Let's say, what would be your top 5 or top 10 metrics to follow?
So you have seen some smaller customers in their current phase. How they handle
What we have done is we've done the interviews and we've collected data from there, and we've sorted them out. So and customer support data, when you get the feedback, if you have already launched and you get the feedback, then you collect that one. You collect whatever you can if you're starting.
Sorry to answer to your question.
No problem.
No, it was more about how small companies you have more than in a portfolio.
So basically, if I have a small company and they're asking like what to collect as a data, then first I would say like information about your core business, all the objects that define like your core business. Anyway, there's like point of doing like, we quite often do a workshop to find out the most important information that we have to have inside the company so that we can track those things. So let's say if you have goals, then it's pretty easy to say that, okay, this is how we understand that the goals are coming closer or going far, things like that. I wouldn't say like gather everything. It doesn't make sense. I mean, like you have gather information that you know that you're going to use for your basic business. So information about your customer that you have. Do not buy some stupid, I don't know, database. Information about your contracts, information about your employees. That makes sense. Do not gather everything. Gather information that makes sense in your business decisions. Start with there. If you have this basic business intelligence set, then you can do further steps about, okay, maybe we should use some kind of algorithm to make decisions easier to do, I don't know, predict something. I wouldn't say that just start gathering information. Most of the time, information, data specifically in the companies are rubbish. There's nothing to do with that. There's like endless Excels, they're not structured in any way. If you want to use it, you have to know why you need this information. Before the information turns to data, you have to have some kind of plan.
Okay. Maybe then answer them. Because for me,
yes. Yes.
like we have a lot of data, but everything costs. So I think we are very mindful what we track. So good example is like how we put the event tracking on, like, you know, not everything is tracked. So like, let's say we use full story just to see how customers go there. We only apply those events, let's say onboarding, the crucial customers. If they get to the first 90 days, then we drop maybe some high value customers that, you know, we see how they move, but not everything. And, you know, it's really followed. And let's say one fact is also that Pipedrive customers collect a lot of data, and there are certain rules. There was GDPR, like it's so complex there, like how long we can keep what and when. So and now customers actually themselves are saying, like, I have so many deals, they are rotting for 3 years. You know, how do I like get rid of them nicely? And so we actually just introduced a new feature we're calling a cleanup, so you can see rotten deals, you know, like deals with no owner, or deals with, let's say, deactivated owners. People move around, so there is a lot of data stored, so how they could clean up themselves, and of course ourselves. And then research side, if we interview somebody, we have strict rules when the stuff will be deleted, you know, we don't keep anything there, so everything costs. So plus GDPR and everything we really try to follow.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you all once more. Thank you for the audience also. And I actually it was very, very interesting and exciting to get insight from industry, how things are done, how data is utilized in designing digital products. And I hope that also we can either continue or start some collaboration with you, your companies. As I mentioned, we have several interesting projects here going on, so and different forms of collaboration, different kinds of projects, smaller and bigger, the so-called sandbox projects, but also some bigger research and development projects. So we would like to be in touch with all of you. So thank you once more.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and now it's not over because the very important part is yet to follow. So will be a reception outside. I would call it reception because there are some actually drinks and nibbles. So please enjoy yourselves, and then feel free to continue the discussions we started here. So thank you. Yeah. Yes, and keep an eye on our website, yes, yeah, for more information. And then there is, sorry, one thing I forgot. Then our next data science seminar will be actually, will happen in conjunction with the Tallinn Data Week on the 2nd of October this year. So welcome also to our next data science seminar. Thank you.